Hello fellow residents of internet land and YouTubers and weblings. This is Alias Moth with the Vlog Chronicles and vlog number 4. Now today's review is a dual book and DVD combo of The Other Boleyn Girl, The Boleyn Inheritance and the movie. Okay, the first book, The Other Boleyn Girl, which is this one, was published in 2001 by Scribner, and it is based on Anne and Mary Boleyn from the Tudor era, and it's written from the time that Mary is 12 years old to when Anne is beheaded as an adulterous queen. Now, it's a historical fiction novel, so the author obviously had to go and research all the historical facts, and I think she kind of based several things on the hearsay accounts that's around, and historian speculation. The book isn't like 100%, isn't 100% true in the sense of the recorded history, but it's kind of based around that time. And being a bit of a history nerd, I love the Tudor area. It's kind of like the area I kind of focus on. But the book does have the believability about it. I mean, it doesn't use the Tudor speak as in "tis, 'twas," what you expect. I know that the book has certain facts changed, and the facts changed, I think the author chooses one or two speculative threads to give the story kind of its flow and believability and credence, like Mary being the younger sister whilst Anne's being the older. There's speculatives that Mary was the older one and Anne the younger. Around that time, usually the older daughter was married first, so and in this book Mary's married first, but she's the younger one, so that has a change there. And the other one is the belief that Anne and their brother George had coupled, and the subsequent effect was a deformed child which was born a couple of months later prematurely, and of course died, which leads to the supposed accusations of adultery. And despite reading the book first, I didn't hear about it until they were making one of the movies, but I managed to read the book first. Anyway, I did like how the author wrote it, and she wrote it from Mary Boleyn's perspective, which is first person perspective, and instead of third person, or with flashbacks, which can happen. It does keep it interesting that way, and it does make you want to read more and read faster. A good author would always write things in such a way that it will want to make you read more. But it is a book you have to sit down to read, and you have to kind of take time to appreciate it. You can't do it in like 10-minute slices, or take forever to read it, unless you're that type of person, good for you. But having said that, it's a little boring if you're not into history, even like fictional history. So don't read it if you're that. So on to the movies. There are two adaptations of The Other Boleyn Girl. First one being is the BBC TV adaptation, which was released in, I don't know, on March 28th, 2003. I actually don't have that one on DVD, but I have seen it. I watched it on YouTube. Yeah, it's not, but it's not like the book. It's I think it tries to follow the book chronologically, but it's done in such a way that it doesn't feel like, it doesn't kind of flow like the book. It doesn't read like the book, if you know what I mean. And like I've said in, you know, on my other vlogs, movies never follow the books 100%. And I know that they will cut stuff and show things differently, but it was a pretty good adaptation for BBC production. BBC tend to be pretty good with, you know, their movie adaptations. Yeah, second one, which is the second movie adaptation, was released March the 7th, 2008, which is this one. It's got Natalie Portman in it, and Scarlett Johansson, and Eric Bana, and it was directed by a guy called Justin Chadwick, which is a pretty good surname. But yet again, wasn't like the book, not completely anyway. I think it was closer to the book. This one was closer to the book than the BBC production, but yet again, I think it showed things in different ways, and I did get a bit confused. I had to go back to the book several times when I was watching the movie. But yeah, the movie was a bit more inconsistent. This one was, both of them were inconsistent when it came to linking it to the book, but I think they were trying to kind of keep it as close to history as well. But that's my opinion, to be honest. Second book, The Boleyn Inheritance, which is this one, and it's again historical fiction. It's focusing on Jane Parker, Anne and Mary's sister-in-law, and Catherine Howard, Henry VIII's fifth wife. Yeah, from a time Jane Parker is summoned to serve Jane Seymour, and up to when Catherine's beheaded again as an adulterous queen. Now, yeah, this one yet again is the follow-up book to the other Boleyn Girl, which is kind of obvious. So there is some flow between the books. I think the author had to change a couple of things around, you know, like she did with the other Boleyn Girl. I think she followed specific threads again. I think she ended it with Jane Parker being insane, and she wrote it as Jane seemed to act insane but really was insane type thing. I think there is some people who are insane but seem normal, and vice versa. But yeah, like, you know, it has its flaws. It doesn't follow the history as it's known. I mean, Jane Parker never, according to history, she never talked to the Duke of Norfolk again, she never talked to the Mary and Anne's uncle again, according to history. So you know, that's a thread that's, you know, it's a speculative thread. And of course, I mean, if you're into history like I am, you know, and you know, you're gonna notice the flaws. But it's, despite, you know, that out of the way, it's a pretty good book. I mean, it makes sense if you don't read history, and you don't really know the era, but it's pretty good. So if you haven't read them, please do. They're good reads if you have time. So I know, you know, draw your own conclusions for them. So this is the other Boleyn Girl, Boleyn Inheritance, and the movie by Phillipa Gregory.